When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. Join Live Green Tennessee to wander Sylvan Park's historic produce place, walk the Waters organic farm tunnels, get schooled on sauerkraut, and visit Taste, one of America's rare 3-star green-rated restaurants. Plus, Gator Harrison tackles sugar-free tarts with Chef Victor Klein, and we visit the Gadget Lab and the Medicine Garden. For good news that's all green, it's Live Green Tennessee coming up next.
This program is brought to you in part by
a local winery is a great place to enjoy the countryside, find perfect gifts, and learn about the winemaking process. Or you could just have fun, laugh with friends, taste the wines, and experience Tennessee wine country. To find a Tennessee wine country experience near you, visit picktnproducts.org.
and by the generous support of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Connecting the grower to the buyer, the country to the city, and smart shopping with a healthy lifestyle. It's Live Green Tennessee.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm very pleased to be your host for Live Green Tennessee, a show for and about Tennesseans who are reaping the benefits of living green by simply buying locally and eating healthy. While a lot of farmers markets are closed in the coldest months, there are still a few farm-friendly vendors welcoming customers. In Nashville's Sylvan Park, one grocer has been doing just that for nearly 20 years. In fact, generations of Nashvillians have shopped at the historic spot known simply as the Produce Place.
I worked at a supermarket in Atlanta for a long time, and I was asked to go work, or told, in other words, to go to work in the produce department one afternoon because someone was out. Well, I went over there and I kind of started handling the product and tasting the product, and the flavor of fresh fruits and vegetables intrigued me more than anything. But after a little while, I kind of started thinking, well, golly, I can do this. I can do this as a business of my own. And then I moved to Nashville, and I still had the dream of wanting to do this, and I opened Produce Place #1. You know, we built a customer base, and that's when, you know, it really ignited me about how people like to eat fresh food. It brought me to the point where I was able to purchase this building here, which was built as a neighborhood grocery store back in 1926. The man that ran it for the longest time, Chester James, he bought it in 1940 and ran it until the mid-'80s. And then I got it, it became available to me in 91. But I go through here and I feel the freshness of it. And I got a feel for it, and I got a taste for it. Green beans, corn, asparagus, berries, anything. I'll take my knife out of my pocket and give it a slice and chew it on in a minute, and there it is. I'll decide whether to purchase or not. Since day one, July 13th, 1988, we've been buying local. On the fresh end, on the local manufactured end, whether it was honey or breads, cheese, milk, not to mention a full line of produce that we'd buy locally, well, a full line that was available in the area. So our philosophy is to bring good food that has good flavor to the masses. That's it. You know, if it's good, that we want to have it. If it's better than what we have, we got to have it. And I won't compromise. January is traditionally a slow time of the year for us, always has been. There's no rhyme or reason, that's just the way it is, but it gives us an opportunity to start planning our season. I meet with growers, they come in the office, and we go through catalogs, and we decide on what new items we're going to have, what items that we've had in the past we're going to continue to do again. And that's kind of exciting too, because we get an opportunity to bring in things that we haven't tried before. Because it's new to a catalog, or it's new to a grower says, what do you think about trying this? And of course, we'll try something. I'd like to have a few things in here that I've seen, you know, in cookbooks, magazines. We're the next to the last link to the consumer, and you're the next to the next. So the only way that we can bring it to the masses is for me to get in touch with you and just pass along what's conveyed to me as far as, have you heard of this? Can you get this? And that's probably the biggest question, can you get this? And you know, this time of the year, that answer would be yes, because you know, you're seed picking.
Here's a trend that's coming back.
What's that?
Pointy head cabbage.
Really?
Now, when I was growing up, I didn't know anything but pointy head. We were the pointy head cabbage kings in this area. I mean, that's all we ever sold. And then the generation that eat that stuff has died out. They knew they were the sweetest cabbage you could get. They virtually just died out. And people have quit eating cabbage. Everybody's gotten sold, we call it. They want it in a sack, done cut up out of the store, where they don't have to go, you know, they're too lazy to cut up a little slaw. That's a big deal. But now this come back, and it's a new, and I, you know, my heart, I'm sentimental. I want to try this, but it's got, you know, it take 10 years to get people to. You got to beg people to buy $1.50 head of cabbage, and $2. You know, you think it's selling a car.
But at the same time, being a small operation like we are, word of mouth can get people to pick it up and try it more so than just leaving it out there on the rack in a huge supermarket. I need your help to bring Produce Place into play, what it can do for our customers other than just the same general produce market. I like to have some things that are new and different.
Really and truly, from the time you're asking me to try this, you're really looking at 3 or 4 years before I can think of even, you know, before we'll know for sure if it's even took or not in this area. And that's generally when you're trying something out new, you don't need much, or one row or whatever across, and you still might have 2 times too much, but you don't never know. And then you just go from there, and you know, it takes years to figure out. I mean, because you only got 1 shot or 2 every year at trying this stuff out.
I need a crystal ball because I sure am unable to pick them, but I'd like to try things, especially when there's something that are appealing, like the beets, the variety of beets, those root vegetables. I'd really like to try some of those.
I will. It's, you know, I always say no, 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 and then I'll sit there one night and I'll try it again.
I don't have time to do it.
Yeah, give me a
I don't
heads
have
up.
time. I don't have time to buy the seeds. I don't know that end. I do not know the growing end. I do not know the picking end to the point where I could do it on our own here. But I do know the purchasing end, and I do know what our customer likes due to the experience that I have. And you know, having someone like him that has these catalogs and seeds with items throughout to choose from, you know, I call that a feather in our cap. Truly do. You know, I believe that there is a difference in fresh food. I believe there's a bigger difference in local fresh food, and it's something that education has brought, and it's continuing to do so, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And you know, as much as things have changed, a lot of growers aren't growing like they used to. There's not as many growers growing as they used to, but there's still enough product that's available to me that I keep on doing it. In the summertime, I have to get up at sometimes 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get started so I can finish my day. There is a certain satisfaction that I get from it, and year to year. And people ask me, when are you going to retire? How long are you going to do this? I'm going to do it as long as I love it. I won't walk away. As long as I'm able to, I'll stay with it.
You know, a lot of gardeners wait until spring to plant those wonderful gardens full of fresh fruits and vegetables. But at Tennessee Tech University in Cookeville, the Waters Organic Farm utilizes a variety of tunnel techniques to bring hungry students fresh produce right through the winter. Live Green Tennessee visited Waters Farm Manager Randy Dodson to discover the ease and affordability of tunnel gardening in your own backyard.
I'm Randy Dodson. I'm the farm manager at the Tennessee Tech Organic Research Farm, the Waters Farm. And behind me is our high tunnel growing system. This is where we grow winter vegetables all winter long. We also grow spring and summer vegetables in this house We'll do tomatoes and those kind of things later on as the season warms up a little bit. Behind me, you can see through the doors, the double doors, you can see our walk-in tunnel, which is a very inexpensive, very cheap, very easy to build structure made out of PVC and plastic that we grow some of our hardier plants that don't need as much protection. And then near that, across from that, and we'll see in a minute, are low tunnel structures that I'll show you. We don't have those put up yet because those are used as the late winter, early spring starts to come on, just to extend our seasons. We'll use those low tunnels again in the fall. So we have a system that goes from low tunnels to walk-in tunnels and ultimately to high tunnels. Inside the tunnel, you'll see that we use low tunnel structures inside our high tunnel. We use those especially for those really cold periods like we've recently had here at the farm. We had low single-digit nights. We simply used these row covers, covered these low tunnels with our row covers. We wound up putting 3 layers on. But once we uncovered after the cold period was over, we found out that we had no significant damage. So we began harvesting immediately and have been harvesting ever since. You can see the wide variety of plant materials we have. We have arugula, mizuna, we have spinach, tatsoi, we have kale. There's such a variety, several varieties of lettuce. You can see here the beets, the bull's blood beets. These are used not only as a salad mixture, the foliage, but also we can harvest those beets later on, the root crop itself. Next to that, you can see the this is a broccoli plant. That's the I guess it's the broccoli rabe, this particular one is, which is really used in salads and stir fries. It's a fantastic system using low covers inside high covers. Really a great protection system. Leaving the high tunnel, we go over and take a look at our low tunnels or our walk-in tunnels. These walk-in tunnels are a fantastic addition to our project. They're very versatile. They go together so easily. 1-inch PVC is what we're using, bought at a local store for probably $4 a section. Another 1-inch piece of PVC that holds them all together. We tie that down with a rope to keep them from moving back and forth. A piece of scrap wood with some pipe strap, and I've got a house that I can use covered with plastic to grow virtually anything I want to grow. It's a fantastic, easily put up, easily taken down structure that really extends our seasons and gives us a lot of versatility in the systems that we're using here at Tennessee Tech. It's a fantastic little piece of equipment that I would encourage anybody to take a look at using even in the backyard. This is pretty cool. I'd like to show you what it looks like with plants in it. And here you can see our walk-in tunnel that allows us and gives us a lot of versatility going from that high tunnel structure to this low tunnel structure or this walk-in tunnel. We use hoops in a low tunnel system. You can see these raised beds that give us a lot of warmth and drains a lot of that moisture out in the wintertime. We can grow virtually anything in here with a little extra protection. And what we use for protection is just a simple row cover material that goes over those hoops and protects those hoops at night or in extremely cool weather. Now I guess the best thing to do would be go on outside and take a look at the most simple system that we use, which is a low tunnel by itself in the field. This is a system that anybody can use in their backyards, in raised beds, in plant beds, even at the corners of their houses. So this is a system that anybody can use to grow food year-round, winter, summer, spring, and fall. Let's take a look. And now we'd like to take a look at our low tunnel system, which is really the most simple system that we use here. We use it in the spring, we use it in the fall, and we move from low tunnels to walk-in tunnels and eventually high tunnels during using our system. The great thing about this low tunnel system is that we use it, but anybody can use it. Homeowners can use it, local gardeners can use it. And I'd like to show you some of the materials that we use. They're inexpensive, they're easy to get, and it's really easy to do. I'd like to begin by taking a look at this landscape fabric. You can buy this at any farm store, any garden store. We use basically a number 9 wire that is a hoop that we cut. We buy this at the local farm store, cut it into 4-foot lengths, easily bent, and then it goes easily through the material. This is a really easy system, but the basic thing that we want to remember is we're controlling weeds, we're bringing the warm temperatures in for plant growth and root growth, and we're protecting those plants from cold and from the wind that desiccates. Another material that's commonly used, and we use it here often, is just a plastic that you can buy, again in rolls, that you can buy in the farm store, the garden store. We buy it at nursery supply outlets, and this is a petroleum-based plastic. It works really well, heats the soil up really well, does essentially the same thing that our nursery row cover does. There is a new product that's out there though that we like to use, and we're going to, which is a biodegradable plastic that can be left in the field. Microorganisms, sunshine, and water break that down. You can till it into your soil at home and it disappears biologically. And now we come to the cover that we use for our low tunnels. Depending on the season that you're going to use low tunnels, if you're beginning in the spring, late winter, you want to cover your tunnels with a breathable material initially. And so all we do is cover our tunnels with this row cover material, and then we follow that with a piece of plastic to protect against the cold and the wind. As the season progresses, we'll remove the plastic. Again, we'll use a vented plastic. After removing the plastic, then we still have this row cover that protects against insects and still gives some warming effect and some protection against the wind as the season goes along. Later, we'll remove all of our covers and allow our crop to grow naturally. And you can do it just as well as we can at home with these simple tunnels, inexpensive, easy to put up. You get to choose the food that you grow. You get to grow it and harvest it freshly and go from ground to table. You'll enjoy it. The taste is fantastic. The satisfaction is unbelievable. And you will be as happy as we are doing what we do here every day.
Here at Live Green, Tennessee, we have a lot of friends who help us get out information about living green. One of our partners from the start has been Pat Bagley, Dean of the School of Human Sciences at Tennessee Tech University.
Hi, I'm Pat Bagley, Dean of the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences here at Tennessee Tech. The college is comprised of 3 different schools: the School of Agriculture, the School of Human Ecology, and the School of Nursing. For the purposes of today's program, I'll talk more about the School of Agriculture, which is about 270 students right now. The whole college has between 1,000 and 1,100 students, so we've had a lot of good growth in the college as well as the university. But in agriculture, our commodity we deal with more than anything else is students. We're trying to educate students, we're trying to educate the public as well, but our main focus is students, and as we pass that knowledge on to them, that pervades through the public, pervades through the society, and helps us. And in the School of Agriculture, we have several farms we use, and we try to get the students out there as much as we can. We're big in experiential learning, and that is, there's an art and a science to agriculture. The science they learn out of the textbook. But the art of it is I can tell people in a textbook what a tomato should look like, and I can tell them what a newborn calf should look like, but they have to go out and experience those things and put their hands on there to really know how those things are going to work. Here closer to campus, we have the Shipley Farm, and across the road from it, we have our horticulture unit. So we have bedding plants, small trees, a lot of things like that. A lot of our compost studies going right there across the road from Shipley Farm. Then on the side where Hyder Burks is, we also have pretty much a purebred beef herd that's over there. And that's also our closest farm to the campus. So a lot of times our labs are out there because, again, we love to get our students out there because they learn by doing, and it really cements the kind of things we let them do in the classroom out there. And by far our largest operation is the Oakley Sustainable Agricultural Center, about 20 miles north of here, which has just recently been donated to us. It's a large farm. In fact, with it, Tennessee Tech now has the 2nd largest beef herd in the state of Tennessee. lots of running streams up there, so there's a lot of water quality things that we're going to be doing up there. There's a lot of wildlife, so we're developing wildlife food plots. We really want our students to understand that they can go up and make a living with agriculture, but they need to leave the land and improve the land while they're up there doing it. And those things really are compatible. It takes effort. And again, that's the art of doing these kind of things. The science is we can tell them how to do it, but we can show them up there where we've got cows in an area, but we've also got wildlife food plots for deer and wild turkey. We also have ponds where the fish thrive in there. These things can all work at one time. Through that Oakley farm, though, we have enough production up there that we're starting to supply our local campus here with all the ground beef that the students consume during the course of a year, which is, we estimate, about 9,000 pounds worth of beef that we're going to produce. And we have the capacity to produce a lot more than that. We have large number of other crops, such as down at the Waters Farm. We also have tomatoes, salad crops, a lot of those kind of things. Those things are all fed to the students on campus. So think about it. They can either eat a tomato that's travel 1,500 miles from Mexico, or they can consume one that's produced locally here, has much more taste and quality to it. But all the things that the students throw away and refuse, we compost those things and go through a compost cycle up at the Shipley Farm. We take those back down to Waters Farm when they're ready, and that's our fertilizer source to grow those very same crops next year. So again, we want to minimize our carbon footprint here on the community, and we want students to understand how all this stuff is intertwined, that we just can't separate out all these individual units. They all work as a single thing. We do different things at all four of those units, but it all comes to be a single force that we use to better educate our students and also to transfer that information through like the Live Green and Prosper initiative into the community as we have it, but also have a number of field days and things like that we have a lot of farmers, producers involved with as well to transfer that information to where we keep more of the money here because we all eat food and we'd like to see more people eat food that's locally grown and keep that money in our local economy for us here. We think we have an educational system with the great fact that we have here that compares strongly with anybody in the United States as far as how we do this. So the number one crop we want to grow is our good students.
Okay, so you're looking for a great taste treat that's not going to break the calorie bank. What's next? Well, Gator Harrison invited Chartwell chef Victor Klein into the Green Galley for a tasty diet and diabetic-friendly twist on fruit tarts.
Hey guys, welcome into the Green Galley. You think you've got a big family to feed. If that's the case, none bigger than how many this guy feeds on a weekly basis. It's Victor Klein from Chartwell. How are you, Victor?
Pretty good. How are you?
I should say Chef Victor. Let me make sure I get this right. You guys, we are going to cook something great, and a lot of the ingredients we're going to use right here from Tennessee on a farm that, well, you got some close ties to. First things first, if you don't know about Chartwell's, you guys do catering, but really the big job is making thousands of tech students happy.
Feeding the students.
On a daily basis. How many students do you feed a day?
Roughly 4,000. It's from a cup of coffee to a full buffet.
Listen, if this guy can feed 4,000 college students and keep them happy, I think he can take care of your family. We're going to make something that your family's going to love. What are we going to be making today?
We're doing a white chocolate vanilla fruit tartlet.
Oh, white chocolate. You know, you've got me. You could have stopped at chocolate, Victor. How do we get started? And what are some of the, let's look at some of the ingredients that we're going to be using before we dive in.
Well, yeah, fresh fruit. One of the things at Tech Farms is that we use, we try to use their product as much as possible.
Right.
If it's available. They grow from strawberries to green peppers, tomatoes, and all the food waste at Tech gets composted back to Tech Farms.
Very
and then
good.
we purchase their produce.
So it's all right there at Tech. Nothing's wasted.
Nothing is wasted. Absolutely not.
All right.
Nothing is wasted.
Well, this is great, and it looks good. So what else do we need to look at
Okay,
here?
what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make the pudding part of it, the custard part of it.
Okay.
So you're going to put your pan at a low heat. While I'm doing the milk, Gator, what I need you to do.
You just tell me what to do, Vic.
Okay.
I'm here, buddy.
Great.
And this is on a low heat. You just added milk. How much milk are we adding?
We're doing 2 cups of milk.
Okay.
While this is coming to a small simmer, I need you to take 2 tablespoons of cornstarch.
I'm assuming this is already
Right.
measured out.
It's already measured out.
All
That'll
right.
save you a step.
Very good.
And then your half a cup of water.
All right. Half cup water.
Now you're going to mix that together, which is making a roux or thickening agent.
We're making a what?
A roux. It's a thickening agent.
A roux.
Otherwise, your pudding will just be water.
I see. All right. I've never heard of the term roux. We would just call this mixing it up at my house. But Victor, whatever you want to call it, buddy, we're in your kitchen. Okay.
When this comes to a simmer,
All right.
what we're going to do is we're going to add the 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And since this is sugar-free, I use Splenda. In my cookbook, I also use Splenda. Go with a half a cup of Splenda.
All right. And you mentioned your book, so certainly tell us about the book and some great things in the book, but especially if you're sugar conscious or if you're diabetic.
Diabetic, low carb dieters. A lot of the times.
Are we good here?
Yeah, that's perfect.
right.
I actually need this.
Okay.
In the cookbook, it's all about sugar-free products. One of the neat things is I cook with my kids. That's one thing I love to do. And the kids sometimes don't realize it's sugar-free.
Now that's when you know you've hit it. You've got the right recipe right there.
Exactly.
The kids can't figure it out.
If you don't want to make this actual from scratch, you can use the Jell-O instant pudding or an instant pudding mix that's sugar-free. It does the same thing. It's the same concept. So if you want to save a step, you can also do that.
We love scratch here in the Green Galley.
This come to a simmer. You're going to go ahead and add your thickening agent.
What is it you
Your
called it
roux?
again? Roux. We're throwing in the roux. Here
There's
comes
two
the
different
roux.
roux. There's cornstarch and water or flour and butter.
Okay, there's the roux.
This will cook for 6 to 8 minutes until it thickens. And I already have some made up for you, Gator.
You want me to go get that?
Yes, please. It's right in the refrigerator.
In the fridge. Here we go.
My way.
All right. So
All you need is 3 spoons and a couple of kids, and you're good to go.
So you've let this simmer, and then
Yeah, this will simmer. It'll come to it'll thicken, come to a custard.
Right.
6 to 8 minutes. Once it's finished, you let it cool down in the refrigerator for about 2 hours,
I see.
and then that'll be your pie filling, your mix.
And certainly, if you're planning this is something you can do in advance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have our pudding now.
This one. Normally, I would make the pie shell from scratch because it is sugar-free. I use almond flour, real butter. You don't want to use margarine. It'll separate your dough. But I went ahead and baked off a couple for you. You can actually purchase now at all stores sugar-free pie shells.
Okay.
And the cost is just about the same. It's a couple of cents different.
What about taste, Victor? What about taste?
Personally, I think it tastes great. I
Okay.
don't see anything.
All right.
Actually, I'll let you taste the crust by itself.
All right.
You want to grab one?
Absolutely.
Go ahead and break a piece off, and you tell me.
All right.
Be honest.
Absolutely. Well, I've never met a pie crust I didn't like, Victor. Let's be honest. That's excellent.
Could you taste the difference?
No,
Totally sugar-free.
Sugar-free?
Sugar-free.
That's excellent. Now, I have a sister who's battled with diabetes for a very long time, and so it's something that, a lot of families are dealing with, certainly in Tennessee. So make sure you guys are paying attention and writing down the recipe. We'll get it for you, and you can get the recipe that we're making today in the book, right?
Absolutely. One of the best things about having a sugar-free dessert cookbook is most people that are diabetics, they don't cheat on the food, they usually cheat on the diet. What's a donut, what's a cupcake?
Sure.
And muffins, everything's in the cookbook. They can make from ice creams, your homemade ice creams are in there, everything's in there. So
Okay.
what you're going to do
All right.
is you're going to scoop out some pudding. That's why I made extra.
Very good. Now, do the tech kids get this? Do you serve something like this
Actually,
over
the
there?
tech kids get this, however, it's in a smaller portion. We
I see,
we
okay.
pre-portion everything out.
I got you. Now, you mentioned Florida. Why don't you tell people kind of how you got your start?
When I was 13, I worked at Murphy's Lobster House, and there was a pastry chef there, and I fell in love with the trade, and I decided to go ahead and do a couple of cooking expos.
Right.
And got a job at Disney, and I worked at Disney as a pastry chef. Over there.
Really? So you cooked it up for Mickey on a daily basis
Absolutely.
down there.
From cakes to pies to wedding cakes, from a wedding cake that costs $400 up to $20,000.
Really?
So, yeah, you get from one extreme to the next.
Well, then at Disney, they're certainly going to get you trained for
Absolutely.
taking care of families, which is what we're doing today in the Green
Over
Galley.
at the Grand Floridian.
All right.
Now you're going to take your spatula.
Okay, I
So
see.
what you do, you just smooth it out.
Okay,
If you leave it in. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. You're getting it.
I'm getting it. Okay, I'm no
Go to the-
Disney guy, but I'm getting this.
Go to the edge.
Oh, that looks great.
Remember, you're covering it, so it don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
Go ahead and taste that, Gator. Tell me what you think.
That sugar-free?
That is sugar-free.
Are you kidding me?
That is sugar-free.
All right.
Now I'm going to show you how to cut a kiwi.
There is a proper way, obviously, to cut a
There
kiwi,
is.
if you're going to show us.
Well, remember,
Okay.
we try to save as much as the kiwi as possible.
All right.
So cut your ends off.
Okay. All right.
Take it with your hands and roll it, not too tight, just till you feel
Really?
it, till it's soft. Take your spoon,
Food and fun, all at the same time here in the Green Galley, okay?
run it to the inside of the skin.
Okay.
Okay. Now you'll feel it with your palm, and just start scooping it out. You get to the end.
Okay, I think so.
And just squeeze it out.
Ha!
Hey,
ha.
perfect. Most people
Wow.
don't get that.
Very good.
And if you look inside,
I did it, Mom! Okay, good.
if you look inside, there's really no waste.
That's awesome. Well, you guys are all about not having waste,
Absolutely.
okay?
Now strawberries.
And these are not any strawberries. You'd mentioned the Tech Farms
Yeah,
before.
Tech Farm.
Let's
we
talk
do
about those.
We when they grow their product, they contact our kitchen and say,
Sure.
you know, we have strawberries, we have tomatoes, green peppers, and then we'll purchase their produce from them.
There you go. All right. Well, that's why it's Live Green, Tennessee. That's why we got you on. Okay.
Take your knife, cut your end,
All right.
cut your pieces.
Okay.
You can get roughly 4 to 5 pieces per strawberry. You don't want to go too thin.
I'm getting there.
No, you're good. That's why I went ahead and pre-cut.
Yeah, this would be a long show if I'm doing all of that.
You're going to take a group of strawberries.
All right, I'm trying to get the strawberries. These are slippery little strawberries. Okay.
You're going to start.
Somehow I think his is going to look better than mine. What do you guys think? Okay.
You're going to start on your first one.
All right.
And you're going to shingle
Oh, I
each
see.
of them. If they're separated like this, squeeze them together.
Now, is this something
If it's real
that,
small, you don't use it.
Is this something that you kind of figured out, hey, we're going to make it pretty? Is this something that you learned?
Absolutely.
in
You know,
training?
appearance, you know, is 80%.
So you eat it with your eyes
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
So obviously, if you're not so worried about sugar, you know the substitutes that you can make to make this unhealthy as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't know from tasting the crust and the pudding why you'd want to, though, because I couldn't tell it.
Now you're going to take your kiwi,
Okay.
and you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to shingle it. But make sure you overlap your strawberries, because you want to cover the pudding. You don't want that to be exposed.
All right.
We actually do this with the students, too. 2 or 3 times a year, we'll go upstairs, and we actually do a small cooking show up there where the kids get involved. Yeah, last year I did a birthday cake, showed them how to do their own birthday cake.
Oh, that's cool.
That'll
okay.
work. There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
The next stage is going to be your mandarin oranges. They do now have the regular mandarin oranges, and they also have one that's in sugar-free syrup. So
I
I recommend buying the sugar-free.
Absolutely.
Then you're going to do you're doing the exact same thing you did.
I think I'm squishing them as I'm picking them
you
up.
are.
Be
You gotta
delicate.
Be a little more gentle.
So there's a little tip there for you guys at home.
Be gentle.
So you
drain them in advance, and then put them on paper towel, so all the liquid. Otherwise, this thing will
that's a good
definitely
idea.
get wet.
It's a great tip.
Now take 4 strawberries. This time you're going to layer them the opposite way. You're going to have the ends out. There you go.
All right. Making the food pretty
That's
as
it.
well as tasty.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ha ha.
Fresh berries.
Now, what kind of berries?
These
Just
are
fresh
blueberries.
berries?
These are fresh blueberries.
This is pretty for me. I mean, you know, can you see a difference here? I don't know if you guys can notice. Guess which one is mine and which one is his. All right.
Okay. What you do is you take non-sweetened, is no sugar, coconut, and you toast it for about 15 to
Now, toast it. So you get the coconut, you put it in a pan like this.
Put it on a pan, put your oven at 300 degrees, 350 degrees.
Right.
Bake it for 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then move it around. Another 5 minutes. Constantly watch it because it will burn on you.
Okay, yeah, you don't want that. All right.
And then take your pie.
All right.
And what you're gonna do is lean it over here so you don't make a mess, and you're gonna run it on the edges.
Run it on the edges.
Run it on the edges. What you're doing, remember, most people that make these aren't gonna eat it right away.
Right.
So you want to seal that edge so these don't dry out.
Oh, I
That's
see.
what you're doing. So you're completely covering the pudding so it does stay moist.
Is that right?
You want it up a little high, but it'll work.
See, that's the secret. Don't go so high.
Don't go so high.
All right.
Just keep
That
going
adds just
around.
kind of another layer to it visually,
Yeah, it
too.
definitely finishes it.
That smells great, the coconut does. What a fun thing. I mean, if you've got the friends coming over, if you've got get-togethers, relatives, and who wants to serve the same old boring thing? This is something fun, exciting that none of your neighbors are going to really have experienced before.
And this is the best part. Use grandma's old-fashioned knuckle buster. It's
Right.
perfect. What you're going to do is take sugar-free white chocolate. And
Sugar-free
they do
white
sell it
chocolate.
at all the stores.
Yeah, I started to say, where do you get that?
And you just shred it right on top.
Very cool. Oh, I get that. All right.
You're good to
I just
go.
want to. Okay. Okay, guess who's done this before and who hasn't? Hey, we're getting there. There we
You are
go.
getting there.
But if you do serve this for your friends, your family, whoever, and you make it when they're not there, don't tell them it's sugar-free till after they've eaten it.
I do recommend Splenda, but like I said, in the book, I have a conversion from sugar to equal or sugar to sweet and low, whichever you prefer. Splenda's so much simpler. It's easier. The conversion is so much easier.
Right. Okay, cool. And the name of the book?
It is Cooking Well, Low Carb, Sugar-Free Desserts.
Okay. And you can pick that up?
All the bookstores, they sell them. You can go to Amazon.com. You can go to my website and get it up directly.
All right, so do we get to taste this, Victor?
Absolutely.
All right, I like this. Okay, my own pie. This is awesome. Is there a proper name for what we're making
It
today?
is
I don't
a
even think
large
I
fruit
asked.
tartlet because it's soft.
A fruit what?
Fruit tartlet. Large fruit tartlet.
Fruit tartlet.
I'm going to go ahead and just...
All right, not the manliest of names,
taste
but
it right out of the pie.
we'll let you know as you get. Well, I want to make sure that I get in here and get a little of everything. Well, again, it's fruit tartlet, if you guys want to make it.
It's white chocolate, vanilla fruit tartlet.
And it is excellent. Wow, and this is sugar-free?
Sugar-free minus the fruit, but like I said, you can substitute. You can definitely substitute your fruit.
Well, it's excellent. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Victor Klein again with Chartwells and TTU, not only serving their big family, they're going to help to serve your family. Make sure you pick up a copy of the book and be back with us again for another Green Galley here at Live Green, Tennessee. I'm eating some more pie.
Last time in the Gadget Lab, we got some green tips for laundry day. This time, Eli the Gadget Guy has come up with a toothbrush that helps young family members stay focused on doing the right thing in more ways than one.
Hi, I'm Eli the Gadget Guy, and welcome to the Green Gadget Lab. Today's gadget is just for us kids, but can help the whole family be a little more eco-conscious. It is the EcoFi toothbrush. The toothbrush is made of 100% recyclable plastic and packaging. It also plays a catchy 60-second rap song that helps make toothbrushing more fun and educational. Take a listen.
We're about to have fun and get our teeth nice and clean while keeping it green with the EcoFly.
Did you know that if you keep the water running while you brush your teeth for 60 seconds, you can waste up to 6 gallons of water? That's 84 gallons a week. That's 4,368 gallons a year. That's a whole lot of wasted H2O. Well, I'm Eli the Gadget Guy, and we'll see you next time at the Green Gadget Lab.
Home canning is a big part of many families' food preservation tradition. A much older and less common technique is the process of fermentation, tracing back as far as 1500 BC. Sander Katz is an avid practitioner of this practice, even gaining the nickname Sanderkraut for his first fermented sauerkraut venture. With 14 years experience, Katz proudly promotes the health benefits and amazing taste that come from fermenting foods and beverages.
My name is Sander Katz, and I have been living in Middle Tennessee for about 17 years. I really moved down here because I met some other folks who lived down here, and it was just a time when I was getting ready to make a change in my life. And although I had always liked the tastes of fermented foods and even had some notions that they were particularly healthful foods to eat, it wasn't until I was involved in having a garden that I ever had a reason to learn how to ferment food myself. Fermentation is the transformative action of microorganisms on foods. Not every microbial transformation of food results in something that is desirable to eat. Most of the time when we discard food, when we reject it as being rotten or spoiled, it's because of microbial transformations that have begun to happen on our foods. So what all fermentation processes amount to is simple manipulations of environmental conditions. So if this is exposed to the air, the molds can grow. But if we can protect this from the air by submerging it under liquid, then the molds can't grow and the acidifying bacteria grow instead. Fermentation as an art really is as old as agriculture. Agriculture and fermentation really evolved hand in hand, and fermentation is used all around the world. Really, I would say that any foods that you find identified as gourmet foods, any foods that you find in gourmet food shops are the products of fermentation. So, to give you a quick rundown on what that looks like. Cheeses. There exist non-fermented cheeses, very mild, plain cheeses with names like farmer's cheese, but any cheese with any significant amount of flavor is the product of fermentation, and it's a strategy for making the milk more stable. Cheddar cheese can sit on your kitchen counter for months as a stable food. Milk cannot. I practice many different kinds of fermentation. I make lots of foods that in our American context would be considered exotic foods. Indonesian tempeh, Japanese miso. I make lots of foods that, would be considered somewhat, obscure or exotic in our context. But really what got me interested in all of this was, what I would say is a very all-American food, which is sauerkraut. And that was the first fermented food that I learned how to make, and I have really been in continuous production with sauerkraut for the past 16 years or so. And I am very devoted to sauerkraut, and I love sauerkraut, and I think that it is a powerfully nutritious and healing food. The steps in making sauerkraut are extremely simple. First, you chop up the vegetables. Secondly, you salt them and bruise them. Then you'll stuff them into your vessel. In this case, it'll be a jar, and then you wait. That's as simple as it is. People who came to the United States from Germany, from Russia, from the former Yugoslavia, from all across Asia, from Scandinavia. People who came to the United States from many different regions of the world brought fermented vegetables with them. And so it's an all-American food in that, it's become its own fusion in the United States. All of these, immigrant groups made it in their own style, and it's just, it's just eaten in so many contexts. If you buy a hot dog, they offer you sauerkraut with it. I mean, it's really just become part of the, American diet. I would say that fermentation, is another aspect of that, strategy of, eating local food to, get the nutrients that are in the local soil and, really get the most local, influences on your body. And then you're also incorporating the local microorganisms. So I actually think that it's a way of, really almost literally becoming your environment. When you cultivate the growth of the, bacteria that are naturally occurring on the vegetables that you're eating and use those bacteria in order to pre-digest the vegetables and create enough acidity to preserve the vegetables and then eat those, then you are incorporating, not only the locally grown vegetables, but the local soil organisms that are part of those vegetables. So I actually think that fermentation enhances that aspect of eating local food.
A doctor of pharmacology and an avid home gardener, Dr. Op Walker studies the surprising medicinal qualities of simple, affordable, and healthy foods like the humble cabbage.
Welcome to the Medicine Garden. This month we'll take a look at the incredible cabbage. Originating on the coast of Europe, cabbage is one of the oldest of vegetables, ranking second only to tomatoes as the most grown vegetable in the world. Known as the poor man's medicine, cabbage has long been hailed for its healing properties. In the 2nd century BC, Roman philosopher Cato the Elder declared that if the Romans had endured 6 centuries without physicians, it had to be attributed to the cabbage. Cabbage leaf poultices increase blood flow to inflamed parts of the body, are antiseptic, and draw out infection and toxins. In the seafaring days of the 18th century, nutritious cabbage prevented scurvy in ships' crews. The Romans preferred the big white cabbage from which slaw and sauerkraut is made, but the cabbage family also includes Brussels sprouts, broccoli, red cabbage, and cauliflower. Cabbage compounds act like insulin, lowering glucose levels, so diabetic and weight loss diets should include cabbage. Maximum benefits come from raw cabbage, but it's effective however it's cooked. Remember, people with thyroid issues should cook cabbage, as raw cabbage interferes with iodine absorption. Cabbage is a potent anti-carcinogen and can stop or prevent tumors. Fermented white cabbage or sauerkraut boosts these effects and works against hardening of the arteries, rheumatism, arthritis, and liver disease. Sauerkraut relieves excess stomach acid for those with frequent heartburn. Naturally fermented sauerkraut is preferred over commercial brands. With anti-inflammatory effects, cabbage helps heal stomach ulcers. A few spoonfuls of cabbage juice taken 10 minutes before meals can reduce stomach inflammation in just a few days. So do as the Romans do and eat your cabbage. If an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, cabbage is a tasty counterweight to many health issues. This is Dr. Op Walker, and see you next time in the Medicine Garden.
More and more individuals and businesses are buying into the fact that conscientious living is healthy for us all. Some make small commitments and some go all out. For Taste Restaurants' Jeremy Barlow, a personal goal to go green and shop local changed his professional life when he earned the Green Restaurants Association coveted 3-star certification. The rating governs nearly every aspect of Barlow's operation, from watts wasted to food recycled to water saved. The rating is no mean feat. Taste, located on 21st Avenue in Nashville, is one of perhaps a dozen restaurants in the nation to earn 3-star status. Barlow gained a lot of attention as CNN and Martha Stewart came calling. Still, it's the food that keep customers happy and coming back to Taste.
What drives me is the search for the best food I can put on the plate. That's how it all started. That's the green thing came from that. But you know, my primary goal as a chef is to put out the best product I can. We have to have good food consistently. That's what's going to make us successful. The green thing makes a lot of noise for us, but if we don't pull that off, it doesn't matter. And for me, you know, the best product is 90% of the time something you're going to find locally. The secondary drive for me is the ability for my children and grandchildren to have food and the food choices that we have right now. You know, it's only taken us 2 generations to go from plentiful harvest, in the home, canning with your grandmother, fun family dinners, to, you know, half our meals eaten outside of the home. And as a chef-owned restaurant and this view and philosophy we had in the kitchen, you know, it was important that the restaurant is my personality and my beliefs. So we extended the views of local food, environmentally friendly food, green food, sustainable food in the kitchen to the rest of the restaurants. And I started meeting farmers growing local food and finding out how they farm and why they farm, which of course sparked, you know, oh, why are these guys farming like this? How are the other people farming? And, you know, getting into all of the negative aspects of industrial farming. But the food is still being grown, and it's still being grown in the regions. And you just now have to build the relationship with the farmer on a different level. We have a list on the board of all the farmers that we use each day. You know, I know exactly where my food comes from. I talk to the people growing it, and that is probably the most rewarding part of it.
So this is Kentucky bison from just outside of Bowling Green, and it's covered with cocoa and vanilla and cayenne pepper and braised. And then the greens are from Delvin Farms in College Grove, and the potatoes are from Farmer Dave, which is just north of here. We just braise it for a long time and reduce the sauce. There's some bacon in the greens from Allen Benton, which is in East Tennessee.
The Green move was a really positive business move. It gave my restaurant a rebirth almost, and in doing so, it's gotten us some national attention. We catered a wedding for Martha Stewart, who wanted to do a green wedding, and you know, it was on Style Network and in the magazine, and CNN came in and wanted to focus on green restaurants, and is this a movement that's going to be a wave of the future, which I think it is. And you know, we continually get some local press. You know, they always kind of want to know what's the next thing we're doing, you know, where are we going, how are we advancing, you know, the sustainability of our restaurant, the greenness of our restaurant. But the certification is we have a 3-star within the Green Restaurant Association, and there are, you know, probably a dozen now in the country with the 3-star certification. When we got our 3-star finally, it was just 6 of us. So the ones that were there are kind of moving up that level. They're constantly improving, you know, and the new ones are coming and kind of filling in their space at the 2-star level. Every single aspect of the operation at a restaurant is connected with a point value. And when you change from one way to an eco-friendly way, you gain the points on that to a certain number. You have to have 100 points for a 2-star, 170 for a 3-star, and then it jumps all the way up to 470 for a 4-star, which is the highest and almost unattainable, and done so on purpose. You can always do something to make it a little bit greener. We have aerators on our faucets, and they save us 14,000 gallons of water a month. It cost us $6. It was a cheap fix, and it was a great fix because we saved a bunch of water on a monthly basis. If we have a frozen product, which, here we make everything from scratch, so we don't have too much of that. But when we do, the typical restaurant method is put it in a bucket, pour water on it, let the water run, let it run out. We don't do that here. We make sure we think ahead and we pull it out a couple days ahead, let it thaw out in the walk-in.
Brulee.
A restaurant typically has 50,000 pounds of waste a year. When we switched to recycling, it was one of our first steps, and we had at that time 7 cans of trash in the kitchen that got taken out, put in the dumpster every night. And as we started to separate our cans, one is recycling, one's compost, we are down to about a half a can on a nightly basis. Our to-go containers and bags are either 100% PCW or biodegradable. And if you think about our restaurant and that we eliminated 6.5 cans a day, and we're small, 5-night-a-week place. Think about all the restaurants in your city and how many cans they go through. And if they're open lunch and dinner, or breakfast, lunch and dinner, and we're 85 seats, so think about the one that's 200 seats. How many cans are they going through per shift that gets taken out to the dumpster? And look at every bar. And the next time you sit at a bar, just watch what happens. And everything behind that bar is recyclable. And we give our fryer oil to an individual who owns a green shop here in town. She uses it for her car. The byproduct of turning old fryer oil into biodiesel is glycerin, which we then get back and use for our cleaning supplies. We changed our paraffin candles to beeswax candles. We dealt with a company, I probably went through 14 different companies. The windows have energy efficient films on them that cut down on the amount of solar heat and radiant heat that goes in and out. It took me 9 months to find light bulbs. And we ended up with these 5-watt CFLs, and they saved me a million watts of electricity a year. So, that's huge savings when you look at it. And lighting in a restaurant is 17% of your monthly fees, 17% of your energy use. The stuff we do in the restaurant is great because it reduces energy, it reduces waste, it conserves water. It does all those positive things that we need to do, cuts down on our fossil fuel use, doesn't cause as much damage to the environment. All these positive things that Going Green can do, but it comes back to the food system, and it comes back to how that affects every part of our life. Obviously, the food is the biggest one. That's where we make the most impact in what we do. And we have compost. So we compost all of our food, which in the restaurant is the most waste. So we have one farm, Wedge Oak Farms, Karen Overton is her name. And she comes, picks up our compost, and takes it back to our farm, makes us awesome dirt. And from that awesome dirt has, awesome worms. And the worms feed the chickens, and the chickens come back to the restaurant. And then, the scrap goes back to the farm. So we've closed that cycle, and it's a great example of how you can do that. Eliminate everything. So the cycle can be closed, and we're small. We're a small restaurant, but we show that it can be done. It is all listed on the Green Restaurant Association website, which is dinegreen.com. You get on there and see every single step that we've taken, and they're continuing to take. It never stops. It's a change of mindset, and once you start, it's like, ooh, we can change this. Oh, we can change that. Oh, we should flip this. We can make that more eco-friendly. We have done a lot, and I can't even think of them all. When we first opened and we first got a ton of press for the green thing and whatnot, we got a lot of greenies in here. People pretty much know we're the local food thing. Most people know we're green, but not everybody. We get a lot of out-of-towners. We get a lot of different people that, they're like, oh, they find out at the end of the meal that we're a green restaurant. And then they're even, they're happier because one, they had a great meal and a great experience. And then they find out afterwards that, hey, we're not only did you have a great time tonight, we're a good restaurant, but we are a very conscious restaurant at the same time. But the real benefit to that is it allows me to share what I've learned and taken the time to learn, particularly with the food system and what it can do to our community and our country, and share that with everybody. I mean, we've been very fortunate in the amount of attention we've received, particularly because of the green thing. You know, that's not why we did it. It's a nice end result as far as all the work we put into it. But, you know, the key is getting people in the restaurant. And, you know, for us, the green thing is a philosophy of operation in which, you know, once you really know what's going on with the food system, it is the only way you would want to run a restaurant.
Before we go, we want to share one great website. The Tennessee Agriculture Enhancement Program is designed to share thousands of dollars for farming investments. The fund helps producers improve safety and profits and adapt to changing markets. Be sure to check out this valuable resource. We hope you've enjoyed Live Green Tennessee. To search or replay tonight's stories, recipes, to revisit all of our Live Green shows, look us up online at wcte.org/livegreen, or just Google us at Live Green Tennessee. And please be sure to find us on Facebook. Please join us next time when we'll bring you a special 2-hour Live Green Tennessee with encore presentations of our most popular features and interviews with Live Green partners and interesting people from programs past. So, see you right here next time on Live Green Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by
A local winery is a great place to enjoy the countryside, find perfect gifts, and learn about the winemaking process. Or you could just have fun. Laugh with friends, taste the wines, and experience Tennessee wine country. To find a Tennessee wine country experience near you, visit picktnproducts.org.
and by the generous support of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.